99% of SaaS products die at $0, and the reason is not what most founders actually think. You see, I've audited SaaS products across multiple industries, and I'm talking about products with real traffic and they're getting signups, and the ones that actually have potential to be fucking unicorns, $1 million, seven figure type of products, right? Just like one of my clients who was sitting at $18,000 at MRR with signups coming in every single day. And after working with them for 2 months, they were at $33,000 in MRR just by fixing what was already broken in the product. Okay, we only focus on the internal things. I didn't even make marketing as a priority. Especially right now with AI and vibe coding tools, it has really never been easier to build and ship a SaaS product. But the sad reality is that most of them never make any real money. And fuck, man, I've watched founders burn months building something, they launch it, and then just sit there watching the signups going up, but the revenue still stays flat. Okay. And look, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that marketing doesn't matter. It does. To be fair, marketing is perhaps the most important thing you have to do right once after you ship the product, right? Marketing is indeed perhaps the most important thing that you have to do. People need to know that you exist, and they need to hear about you so that they can buy from you. And that's the whole game, right? But this is where I see most founders get completely wrong. Okay? They rush into shipping a product, which is okay, cool, fine, right? And then they rush straight into marketing. And on the surface level, you may be thinking that, oh, like that's the play, right? Everyone's doing that. You ship, you market, and then you grow. But you see, the mistake isn't the strategy. Where most people fuck up is marketing a product that is broken. And it really boggles my fucking mind to see so many founders exactly doing this. Because here's the thing that I really want you to understand. Every single person who signs up that experience a broken UX would be gone forever. Meaning that you don't get a second impression. Okay, there's only one first impression and that's it. So if your product is broken and you market it anyway, you're not just wasting some money and time, you're permanently burning a pool of people who will never come back, because these are the people who were already interested in your idea, right? They seen your content, your outreach, your ads, they land on your landing page only for them to be disappointed, right? And so what's going to happen in this video is I'm going to be break down to you exactly what these four mistakes are and what you should be doing instead. Because dude, like after working with so many founders, I still see, people at 20K, 15K, 30K MRR still making the mistake that I'm gonna be sharing with you right here, right now. Because when you fix these things, revenue start moving from the traffic that you already have. And that's the whole point of this video. The reason founders market broken products is that they don't really know the product is broken. And I mean that in a genuine sense. You've built this thing from the ground up, right? From scratch. You know where every button is, every feature, every page. You basically know the whole entire funnel. And you are the worst possible person to evaluate your own onboarding. Honestly speaking, and here's why. A new user were to land in your product with zero context, and I mean zero, right? These are complete strangers who just step into your realm, and the moment when they get confused, the moment when they don't know what to do next, they would just close the tab. Okay, let's be real. People don't really ask for help because you know users can't really be bothered to do all that. They just really want to use your product. And there are two ways of how this breaks. The first one is what I call the blank canvas problem. This happens when users would sign up, they land on an empty dashboard with no guidance and no obvious step on where to set up the first aha moment. So they end up just staring at it and they're just like fucking gone the next thing you know. The second thing is setup overload. This happens when you'd be asking users to do eight different things before they've seen a single piece of value. See it in a way that every extra step is a drop off, a potential drop off point. Now, I audited a product called Jodo, which is a AI GTM tool. And the founder basically told me that they were having 3,000 signups, but only 100 DAU, which is around a 3% activation rate, by the way, when the industry standard is around 20 to 40%. And this is a example that, doing more ads or more outreach or more content, whatever, would have made this problem even more expensive. If you've managed to find out where your user's dropping off, now what? What are you gonna do? The instincts of what most founders would do is, to build more. And I see this consistently, right? People would, add more features, do more methods of acquisition, and that is the wrong move. I want you to look at example of Whisperflow, who is just a voice to text tool that basically turns your voice into clean text. That is literally what they're known for. And that's literally the whole entire product. And I'm talking, and Whisperflow is like a multi seven figure SaaS product, right? And they could have built a note taking tool, a summarizer, a document editor, like all of these different features that they could add, but they did not. They just went deeper on one thing, and that is to double down on the feature of having better voice to text accuracy and to turn the website into mobile apps, having smoother experiences. And this depth of doubling down into one thing is what created stronger word of mouth. Because here's what adding features actually does. It doesn't just drain your engineering time, but also dilutes your positioning in the market. The moment you add a second core feature, right, a second one, your value proposition would just be harder for you to explain. And when it's harder to explain, word of mouth starts to become slower and you would start to slowly die. If I'm being completely honest, most founders have the tendency to add features because they're scared. They think that if they were to build enough things, someone will find a reason to stay. But this is the analogy that I come up with. You're not building a Swiss Army knife. You're building yourself a scalpel. One sharp edge beats 10 dull ones every single time. Stop hiding your product. Here is a mistake I see consistently. Founders would put everything behind a paywall and wonder why no one converts. And I get it. You might say that your product is too sophisticated for a free trial, or your LLMs are expensive, your APIs cost money, which fair enough. But there's always a way for you to give someone some free but limited real experience of your product. Let them get inside your UI. Let them run one feature, okay? Allow your users to feel whether this is something that's worth solving that problem or not. You don't necessarily have to give everything for free. You can cap the usage, you can always restrict the output, but at the same time, you have to give something real. Now, then, let's talk about free trials. And I know the problem. People would spin up 10 different accounts and drain your infrastructure. So, I don't even really recommend people to do free trials. You could do a $1 trial instead. And this $1, it really changes everything, which is not necessarily about the money, because I'm let's real, what the fuck can $1 do, right? But it's more about commitment. The person who puts a dollar shows that they are serious. And the person who doesn't, then I mean, to be fair, those people who would just hop on your free plan over and over again with a new account, they're just never gonna convert anyway. So this is a way for you to filter those who are serious and those who would just abuse your fucking infrastructure. And once someone has paid you even just $1, it shows that now they are invested and they're actually going to use the product. They're just going to give it a real shot, right? And converting to a full price for them becomes drastically easier because they've already crossed the mental barrier of paying you, right? They've already put the credit card once so that it's easier for them to go on the full plan of the subscription. I see founders start panicking about retention when someone cancels. But that's really too late because you got to understand that the decision was made weeks before they even decide to cancel it. because in reality, the decision for them to leave was made weeks ago. You just didn't see it. Because retention isn't a problem that suddenly happens because they decided that, oh, after 3 months of using the product, I'm just gonna cancel or because of whatever reason. That's not really how retention works. They subconsciously made a decision at day two of using it. And if a user doesn't form a habit in the first week, they are almost never coming back. And this is where you get wrong about retention. We treat it as if it's a marketing problem. Because I would see founders who would rewrite their engagement emails. They send push notifications saying, "Oh, we miss you, but here's some new features." But nobody gives a fuck. That email probably gets ignored every single time because the problem isn't that users forget about you. It's more about your product never gave them a reason to build a habit. The trigger that brings everyone back has to be tied to their own data, their own progress, their own pain point, not necessarily your product updates. The difference between an email saying, "Oh, we miss you, here's a new feature," as compared to you writing them an email saying, "Your pipeline hasn't moved in 3 days, here's what you're missing." You see the difference there is the first email would get ignored and the second one would get acted on. One is about you and the other one it's more about them. So retention is more of a product design problem. This is why you have to build a habit loop in your product. Okay, make the trigger personal, the retention trigger, make it personal, and watch your churn data, your retention signals, because it tells you who's going to leave before they even do it. And you see, this is the exact playbook that I ran for, some of my SaaS clients like Bouncy.ai, Geodome.ai. I diagnosed the broken activation flow, and sharpen one core feature, fix the conversion path, and build the retention trigger. This is the type of stuff that helped to increase $40,000 in MRR for my client and increase their activation rate just by fixing the things that is already there. So if you want me to run this on your product, find the one thing that is killing your activation or your retention. The link is down below for you to book a free funnel audit. And this is where, if it makes sense for us to work together, because I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I help everyone for everything. This is when I'll go through your product and tell you exactly what is breaking, and this is when we can actually, fix things together. So see you there.